get this scheduled in the 2018 work plan. I can tell you the department is committed upon the city acquiring the right-of-way and getting utilities moved. We will go to contract with it. And we also have a pavement rehabilitation project coming through, and that starts here on the east side of town, the concrete, and we're going to replace all the concrete through town. We're looking at taking the 4-foot median that exists out and using that for additional room to put sidewalks on each side. We're looking at making some improvements to the drainage around Wilson, and also part of that project we're looking at improving the intersection of Harmony and 33. And at that time, our plans are to signalize it, basically put in left-hand turn lane at Harmony and signalize that intersection.
Well, I think what they presented was a very viable plan for Cushing. I think it was a much better option than some of the ones I had seen. The reason I believe it was a much better option was because the impact on small businesses was much less. And so that was really important to me. I think one of the things that initially hit me when I received the packet Friday and I began to look at the diagrams was the less likelihood that small businesses would be adversely impacted. And so that was my central concern. Again, I think the plan that they presented tonight was a very viable plan for Cushing. I think it's one that will work well for Cushing. As you noticed, they projected it out through 2034 in terms of traffic. So I thought all that data was really good data for us and good for our public here tonight. You know, Doughnut, it is quite an expense, and it's an expense that would have to be absorbed by the taxpayers of Cushing. As you noticed tonight, ODOT never spoke up and said that we'll pay for the right-of-way, we'll pay for the utility, movements and things like that. So that's a pretty big expense for our community to absorb.
Well, many of you know that at one of our study sessions, we learned that the electric distribution portion of the City of Cushing, or the Cushing Municipal Authority, has run out of space. They have trucks and materials that are stored in various parts of the city, including their own main headquarters, which they have completely outgrown. And so we learned that there's a need there to provide them with one facility in one place, so everything is centralized. It's going to improve efficiency in terms of response to needs, to response to maintenance issues and things like that.
And I have to say, this is a no-frills building.
Oh, it's a no-frills building.
No frills.
No frills.
Yeah.
There's no frills there. And so trying to find adequate spacing, and Commissioner Rosso brought up the fact that he thought it would be awfully advantageous to us to have this facility inside of the city. And I certainly agree with that and echoed that comment. But the concern was is there somewhere that you could find in the city to put a building like this, which they thought would take about a square block, just because there's so many trucks and all the stores that they have and things like that. Well, we were able to find some property out behind Oklahoma Oil Well Cementers, which is out on Harmony Road, which is they're right adjacent to the sports complex.
I think that's a great location.
Yeah, and if you don't know where the sports complex is, it's just directly behind the current high school campus, and then just south of the sports complex is the brand new Cushing Middle School. So what a great area to relocate to. You have city property right there next door. Infrastructure is already in place. Yeah. So a lot of things that you would have to do can be already done or already done, but you'd have a lot of other work to do that you could do, but it's adjacent to a city facility. So what the commission did was they voted to authorize the city manager to begin working on a contract with Oklahoma Oil Well Cementers to hopefully get that property purchased.
Well, I think
that you want to look at in the budget workshop is what is the physical health of the City of Cushing and the Cushing Municipal Authority. And one of the things that we immediately learned was that our physical health is really good, and talking about our money health is really good. City of Cushing, the forefathers well before me, have done a marvelous job of setting mechanisms in place by which this city saves money and also this city invests money in worthwhile projects that are needed to move our community forward. So after we got through that portion, we learned that our revenues were a little bit down, and in looking at the projections, it looks like we're going to finish hopefully right on track. It was, our financials that we received were actually from February, and so